I appreciate the privilege of delivering this, your final lecture at AIU, and it will be mercifully brief. For each of you, this is a very special day, a day for which you have worked and waited for what might seem like an eternity. And now it's here. Congratulations. You'll be the proud possessor of a diploma. It will show that you have demonstrated an ability to learn. You have learned the importance of fact and fiction, and more importantly, you have learned the difference between them. I would hope that you have come to appreciate the elegance of simplicity. The simplest explanation is often the best, but equally often the most difficult to recognize. 65 years ago, in 1939, a World's Fair was held in New York City. 62 nations constructed exhibits around the fair theme, the world of tomorrow. Apparently it caught people's interest. 25 million people attended. It was so successful that it was extended for an additional year when 20 million more people attended. Everyone wanted to glimpse the future, to see what inventions and developments would revolutionize their lives, as predicted by the world's scientists, engineers, and futurists. But nowhere in this remarkable exposition did any exhibit predict atomic energy. Nowhere was the suggestion of a jet engine. And no mention could be found of the possibility of a transistor or its solid-state progeny. Yet, all three, each of which had enormous impact on the world of tomorrow, became reality within 10 years. At the time of my college graduation, aircraft of airlines all over the world used propellers. A few military jets existed, and the rocket engine was still primitive. Had a professor or a counselor or advisor at that point in time suggested preparing for a career in spacecraft operations, he would have been ridiculed. The most serious proposals for spaceflight were found on a Sunday evening television program, The Wonderful World of Disney. But within just 3 years, the Soviets launched the first Earth satellite, and the space age was born. Within a decade, satellites were being used for a variety of scientific and commercial purposes. Probes had been sent to nearby planets. Humans were frequently flying into space and planning to land on the moon. Like many of you, much of my education was completed while I had a full-time job. It took me a long time, many years. I took a course that looked interesting but had no practical use for me. It was entitled Orbital Mechanics. It was a study of the hows and whys of celestial orbits and trajectories in space. I could have never guessed how important this would be to me some years later. And I suggest that you cannot imagine the opportunities that will arise for you in the years ahead. Hopefully the things you learned will help you be ready for them, and you'll not stop learning. Learning is a lifelong process, and you have a great start. 25 years ago, when I was teaching engineering, you could not buy a personal computer. Some of my students built a computer from a kit named the Altair. It was a 256, not gigs or megs or even K. It had 256 bytes of memory with no available software. Well, a couple of nerdy kids were writing programs for the Altair, kids named Paul Allen and William Gates. I doubt if any of my students would have predicted the computers that you use and take for granted. They'd be floored by internet education, and they'd be attracted to it, particularly those who missed the key part of the lecture as a result of a nap attack. My students were all in a co-op program, so they had some understanding of the world in the workplace. And I think they would have found substantial attraction in the flexibility that online education provides. I'd like the class of 2005 to note the interest and, in some cases, the attendance today of an audience. Your parents, relatives, and friends who have helped you, inspired you, encouraged you, occasionally chided you, and sometimes paid bills for you. They are here today in person or in spirit with hope and perhaps even the conviction that you are well prepared to challenge the problems which they have left unfinished. They will likely applaud you, but I suggest that if you are so inclined, this would be a good opportunity for you to thank them and applaud them. Congratulations.